putting my hands on it for the first time, just like the sense of accomplishment, I guess, it just starts going through you.
Welcome to the Hunt Backcountry Podcast, presented by Exo Mountain Gear. This podcast and the gear that we produce at Exo Mountain Gear share the same purpose: to make you a more capable, confident, and successful backcountry hunter. Straight to the point, no fluff, and no BS, this show is all about providing you with valuable information from experienced hunters. To learn more about the podcast or about our backcountry hunting packs, please visit exomountaingear.com. Well, guys, this episode is another one from you, our listeners. We're telling a story from one of our listeners in his multi-year journey to kill his first elk with a bow. You don't want to miss it. There's so much to learn in this story about persistence, about adapting, and just sticking with it. I mean, that's just the way hunting is. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go, but if you stick with it, you'll find success, and in the end, it will all be worth it. Before we dive into that, I want to thank Michael from Kansas for leaving us a review in iTunes. We want to send you some Exo Mountain Gear swag, Michael, so please email me your shipping address to podcast@exomountaingear.com. And listeners, if you want to enter into these giveaways, just leave us your review in iTunes or Stitcher, or send us your questions, comments, or feedback to podcast@exomountaingear.com. Also, one more reminder before we dive into the show with our guest, Mark Gassner. Part of his story over the years and finding success with elk hunting was him changing his fitness, which allowed him to change the way that he hunted. I want to remind you guys about the fitness plan that we have for you. We partnered with the guys from Atomic Athlete to give you a free training plan. So no matter if you're coming off the couch and not in great shape, or you're someone who trains but wants to get really specific for backcountry hunting, this plan will scale for you. Go to exomountaingear.com/train, TRAIN, download this free plan, check it out, let us know what you think. Okay, let's get into the show with our guest, Mark Gassner, and his story of killing his first elk with a bow. Well, Mark, welcome to the Hunt Backcountry Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I got some emails from you this fall, some awesome photos, and we got to swapping stories. And man, once I heard about everything you've been through and we're up to this fall, I definitely wanted to get you on the show. It's one of these things where it's cool to have some of the the big names or all that on the show, but in the end, it's the listeners and me and you are just regular guys trying to get it done, and so hearing stories from kind of a more of an everyday perspective is super cool, and your story is awesome, which we'll get into. But before we get into that, just to give listeners some context on kind of an intro about you, who you are, where you're from, when and how you got started hunting, all that. If you could just kind of start there, that'd be great.
Yeah. So from Oregon, born and raised here in the Coast Range. Grew up in a timber family, so logging and hunting's pretty much been a way of life ever since I can remember. Just kind of grew up hunting around home. Started just rifle hunting. Kind of trying to think how. I think I started bow hunting when I was like 21, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got a cousin that bow hunts, but other than that, I'm the only one that bow hunts in my family directly.
You're the black sheep with the bow?
Yeah, I'm the black sheep with the bow. My brothers always give me a hard time for it. So,
What was the main driver for you to pick up a bow? Just expanded opportunity, or just intrigued by it?
I don't know. I guess the challenge of it. Be kind of cliche here. Actually, I picked up Cam Hanes' book is one of the reasons. Kind of getting into that, kind of getting me a little more passionate about hunting. And then when I started working at the mill, I was a mechanic for a while, but now own a log truck. Working at the mill, a couple of guys I hung out with all the time, they were bow hunters, so kind of through, I don't know, product of my environment, I guess, they got me into it and started going to bow shoots with them and kind of picked it up. And I bought my first tag. I'm trying to think what year it was. It was like 06, maybe 05. And I kind of hunted most of the season, never got into anything. And then like that last week in the season, me and one of my friends, Joel, we went out to up Valsette's area and kind of up there before dark, just listening for bugles. And then got right before dark or right before light, and start hearing some bugles going down below. And then we watching, all of a sudden seen a bull chasing some cows. So then we hopped in the pickup, went down there, probably chased him around for half the day probably before we finally gave up. But I mean, back then we didn't even have a clue what to do,
Right.
No one in my family had bow hunted, and just kind of everything was new. My friend was new at bow hunting, so it's kind of we had our Primo's bugle and our Hoochie Mama, and
oh yeah, play that song.
Yeah, but man, just the excitement of the elk bugling and all that stuff is I got hooked after that.
Yeah, for sure. So that was not only the first time you hunted elk with archery, but just really the first time you got after elk, period?
No, I grew up elk hunting, around home. Family usually would go over east. That was kind of like our vacation for the year. We'd get to go elk hunting for
do rifle camp and
yeah. But I never got an opportunity to shoot at anything. Just kind of the way things work. But my family's always been successful, and kind of how the rifle hunters work. He's kind of the Orange Army, take to the woods and do drives, and
yeah,
family's always been successful. Usually get a couple, 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah. But
I just didn't ever get the opportunity to take a shot at one. So,
right. So what we're looking at those first few years of bow hunting, man, because I know from experience, I look back at my first hunt, and I even hesitate to call it a hunt now, because it was like, man, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a chance other than just dumb luck. I didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
But so looking back at the first couple of years for you, what are some of the things that stand out of like what now that you're like, oh, if I would have known that then, maybe I could have cut the learning curve. So what are some of those things that, over the years you've kind of learned that you think have been helpful and at least given you more opportunity?
Basically, conditioning. Kind of when I first started bow hunting, I was out of shape. I was probably 260 pounds or so. And, you start off the season strong the first few days, but then, your just desire to want to go out there, your body hurts all the time. And when you do, come into an opportunity, usually you're out of breath. You can't steady anything, it just kind of, it made things really difficult.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the kind of the fitness side of it. What was it? Was it elk hunting specifically that kind of inspired you or motivated you to get in shape?
No, I think it was mainly my wife pushing me.
They have a way of doing that, yeah.
Yeah, because, when I started driving truck, I sit
right
pretty much all day. Then I'm like an idiot. I'd stop at, the little delis and get the fried food. It just kind of has a way to take its toll on you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, it sneaks up on you. You don't it doesn't happen overnight. So you don't wake up and like, oh God, I just got fat.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, I look at pictures of myself now back then, I'm like, holy jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, just give my wife a hard time. I was like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, I was trying. But no, just kind of her pushing me and then me wanting to do something, and just kind of with work and whatnot, I'll just kind of, I don't know, you get older coming from, a background of playing sports in high school, and, you're always active doing something, so I just kind of had that desire to want to do something. So I kind of got into running a little bit, even though I hate running. So I'd kind of mask it with, like those dirty dashes or, somewhat make it fun.
Yeah.
Kind of that what got me started. Then eventually I got involved in Train to Hunt about 3 years ago.
Okay, cool.
I think that's when things kind of, really started changing for me. Made my shooting a whole lot better, especially when that elk's in front of me.
Yeah.
I had no idea what target panic was until about, 2 years ago, and then kind of figured out, and I kind of, everything clicked to what my main problem was, when I first started bow hunting. It wasn't that I couldn't find the elk or get in the elk. It's just like, once I got him, it's just getting to that point to overcoming where you're able to get a shot off.
So do you mean like it was tough to get in and get a shot opportunity, or you had shot opportunities and just couldn't execute?
Oh, I had shot opportunities I couldn't execute.
Okay.
I mean, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, probably more than one hand can hold.
Oh yeah, that's usually the case in like an elk season, but plus over some years, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much almost. I think I've been hunting for 10 years archery, and I've had probably 7 really good opportunities at it. One time at a spike, I never even took a shot because I was waiting for the big bull that I had hit, 2 days before, and I finally caught up with them. But it's just like, so I was kind of focused on that elk since I'd hit it. But I mean, it wasn't no mortal wound or anything. I think I probably hit a bone, and an arrow only went in like, 3 inches and like broke off. But it was just, that was my first ever really opportunity at an elk, and just like after I shot, you try to think back to what happened, and you just kind of, I don't know if it's the fog of bow hunting or whatever, but, I had no recollection of where I hit at all or anything,
Do you still feel that way now? Like when you, with the shot opportunity like this year, which we'll get into, but just on that point alone, did it feel the same way with that shot opportunity? Did you just like, I'm not sure where I hit, or did you have a clear mind?
No, I had a clear mind. I mean, that was one nice thing about, Train to Hunt too, is just, it puts that pressure on you when you're shooting and competing, and you're doing all the exercises, getting your heart rate up and going. It just kind of, you're not necessarily building the muscle memory of it. It's just kind of overcoming in your mind, I guess, a way to put it. It's just more exposure to get to those situations, the kind of more likely you are to overcome them, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's something where, in a situation like a shot opportunity, in the end, it's like anxiety or stress. And so if you're not adapted to that, I mean, physiologically, your body's just responding to stress. And if you're not adapted to it, your body's kind of taking over, and you're not functioning with your mind as much. It's just a reactionary process. But the more you put yourself in that stressful situation, I think the more your mind can take over, and you're not just physically reacting, and you can have clearer thoughts and make better decisions and all that, for sure. And I'm sure that Train to Hunt in that scenario of shooting under pressure helps with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, no doubt it did. I mean, I know that's pretty much what totally changed my game anyways. Anytime going into opportunity where I'm going to have a shot at something, I completely have the confidence to, know that I'm going to do, I don't know, everything within my power and ability to make a good shot, and actually remember it, know what pin I use and whatnot, and just actually come to full anchor and just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have like any sort of like shot routine or anything you're kind of walking yourself through, coaching yourself through mentally in those moments?
Well, this year I did, I'm friends with Scott Carr, and he put on a thing with Joel Turner. So I did Joel's, Iron Mine. Is it Iron Mine hunting?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We had Joel on the podcast. He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. So I did his online class, and then Scott Carr put on that thing, or kind of a shooting clinic, and I went up to that, and that changed things dramatically too. To where when I'm getting ready to take a shot, and I start going through my mind, telling myself what I'm going to do, and just kind of you focus on that kind of closed loop system, I guess. I mean, we'll get into that too when we talk about the elk this year, kind of the thoughts I had going through my head.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hop back to the fitness aspect. I had a few more questions there on that, just because I think it's, I'm sure there's guys out there who are hearing this and going, yeah, I really should get in better shape. And in the end, I mean, we can talk about fitness just for the sake of hunting, which is all well and good, and it does make us better hunters. I'm all for it. But at the same time, I think fitness is important just for health. Like you said, your wife's pushing you, you're getting older, you need to make a change, and a lot of guys are there. So what are some of the reasons you think that over these past few years, you've not only been able to kind of make some positive changes, but keep that positive momentum going? Like, what are some of the keys to success that you've kept it up?
I guess just to kind of complete lifestyle change, getting more active, having the goals to compete and train to hunt and whatnot, and getting into running, but basically diet too. That was the biggest thing, cutting out all the deep fried food, all that deli stuff that you probably shouldn't be eating, a lot more salads. It's just, and getting to the point where actually you enjoy eating, I guess, quote unquote, the diet food, to where, actually I'll go to a restaurant and I'll actually order salads now because it'll sound good. Eating things like quinoa and avocados, a lot of sweet potatoes, all that stuff.
Awesome. So what is your sort of workout routine look like? Do you follow any certain programming? How do you stay active? You're lifting, you're running, a little bit of everything. What's that look like for you?
Oh, it's a little bit of everything, because I'm so ADD when it comes to things. I'll get burned out pretty quick if I just try to do one sort of workout. But my day typically begins at about 3 o'clock when I wake up. I'll get my lunch ready, and then I'll try to work out for about 20 minutes in the morning, just kind of doing some light stuff. When I first started, I had a treadmill, but eventually I sold it. So now I'm just doing like box step ups. Then I do a kind of sandbag workouts, dumbbells, just a little bit of everything in the morning. Light weights, just a way to get my body moving, metabolism going. I found that was one of the biggest changes I made, to where I actually started seeing a whole lot more results, when it comes to like weight loss. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing, getting in that morning workout to get started before you even eat anything. And then usually when I get home from work, I'll try to do a run anywhere from 2 miles to 6 miles, usually pretty steady. And then I'll do some more weights. And I'll usually do like heavier weights, but that's pretty much my workout. I just have a little area set up in my garage with dumbbells and a couple kettlebells, and that's about it.
Nice.
And sandbags.
Yeah. So I'm very much with you in that, man. I've been hitting it in the garage. Gosh, I haven't been in a gym in years and years and years. And just same with you, sandbag and kettlebells and dumbbells. I actually just got set up with a barbell and rack this fall, so I'm starting that. But for guys who don't want to invest in that or aren't sure they want to invest in all that, how do you use something like the sandbag or the kettlebells? Because they're so effective, but a lot of guys still don't know maybe how to use them. For maybe someone who doesn't want to get in the gym, doesn't have time to get in the gym, doesn't have the desire to get in the gym, they want to do something at home, kind of like you've been doing, how would you recommend using something like a sandbag or kettlebell? Just kind of give us an idea of some of the things you can do with that.
Well, I mean, like Train to Hunt, they have like a number of workouts, that you can do. I think they have them on their YouTube channel too. Just those sort of workouts they have. But like, I use a Brute Force sandbag, and they have an app, it gives you a whole bunch of workouts to do. But I mean, you can do pretty much everything with them, from, squats, do burpees, clean the presses and squats. It's just a lot of that, just complete body movement, really. Even just picking up a sandbag and throwing it on the ground.
Yeah.
The sandbag workout is just so cost effective for what you can do with them. I don't know why I went so long without not doing them.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're fairly, I don't even know how long they've been around.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had mine for a few years. I'm sure they've been out much longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is far from a plug, but I actually have a Brute Force sandbag as well, and I love how you can have multiple filler bags. And so mine, I can easily switch it from like 60 to 80 pounds. Things like that, just with taking the filler bag in and out of the main bag. That's key.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have 3 of them in my garage. My wife has her own, and I have that 60-pound one. Then I bought one of the big ones too for doing cleans, or not cleans, but deadlifts with it.
Oh yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the thing about
a lot of deadlifts too.
Yeah, the thing with sandbags that's super deceiving is that weight is so. It just has a mind of its own. Like with it being sand, it's not steady. You're using a lot of stabilization just to move that thing around.
Yeah, working out with that, you can completely tell the difference, even with just a lighter weight. You get guys that want to throw around a lot of iron in the gym, but shoot, you cut the weight down with those sandbags, and I think you get better workout with them. Even you throw a sandbag in a backpack and go for a hike, just the muscles that uses in your core.
Awesome. So that's obviously elk hunting wasn't the only motivation to get in shape, but you've obviously reaped the benefits of being in shape with your elk hunting, right? How has that been different? Has it created more opportunities, just allowed you to go longer, harder? What's the main difference it's been for you personally?
It's created more opportunities, kind of when I first really started getting into, hunting, to where it's became more of a passion and not just a, thing I do every year. It's really allowed me to go, places I normally wouldn't want to go. I know that first year that my brother and I did a backcountry hunt, overweight and out of shape. This was like 11 years ago. And, it was just so miserable. We only made it like 2 days, but he ended up shooting a deer anyways. So, we call that a success. But, that basically just opened my door, or opened my mind to do that kind of hunting where I wanted to get, away from people basically. So it's allowed me to get in places I normally wouldn't, and, just allowed me to go longer, really.
Yeah.
Where you come, because in Oregon here, bow season is about a month long, and shooting, I'd be burned out usually after the first week of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, now I'm able to go basically all season without really getting too burned out.
Cool. So that's super helpful on that fitness side of things. I'd love to hear more about kind of the mindset as you've gone along. So, you picked up a bow 10-ish years ago and chasing elk and had a lot of close calls. How did you kind of stay in it and stay motivated, or how did you struggle to do that kind of through the years of hunting elk? Because it can just be downright frustrating. I know that from personal experience.
I think it was the challenge of it, really. Just it's something new, and just the experience of, calling elk, being in that close to them. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain it, but, guys like me and you, when we experience it, it's easy for us to, know how we feel. It's just hard to put it to words.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I guess it was just the drive to actually accomplish it.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just something I really enjoy too. Just being out in the woods mainly.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to complain, even if you have a quote unquote bad elk hunt. It's still an amazing time.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't trade, the last 10 years of failure for anything, because you just learn so much by being out there. I got to experience things and see things that, rifle hunters really don't experience, just to sit and watch the animals just do what they do. And it's just, it's just the time spent there too.
It's interesting to hear that response, because I 100% know what you mean, and it's hard to describe, but I don't know. I hate the cliches of if you don't understand, you just will never understand type thing, but I think it's true.
I know one year I got to watch a cow and a calf, just playing in a wallow. I didn't get anything that year, but it was just awesome being out there and watching the cow and the calf interact. And the calf just going crazy in the wallow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something fun about it, I guess.
How did you feel going into this year? Because I know that, you kind of had some family stuff going on and all kinds of things. So what were you thinking going into this elk season?
Oh, man, just heading into it, I was kind of pretty excited. Talking with Tyler Boschma, we're thinking about going to hunt in Idaho, kind of together, just camping together, but hunting separate. So I was kind of looking forward to getting, out of state, doing a little bow hunting. But, August 25th, had a logging accident, and then my uncle was killed. So kind of put a change of plans to everything, time wise and whatnot, and dealing with family stuff and whatnot. So kind of going into season, I guess I lost all my motivation. Shoot that first weekend, I never even got out. I didn't even put my broadheads on my arrows until Tuesday of that, after the opening weekend. So it was kind of, I don't know. It's just, one of those things where, we look forward to it all year, but then things happen, and then it gets here, and it's kind of, everything changed before that. You just start thinking about different stuff, and just kind of getting motivated to even get out was pretty difficult. My friend Kent, who I usually hunt with over here, I think he was getting a little worried about my motivation to get out.
Yeah.
So he feared he'd be hunting all year by himself. But so I ended up going out for a couple hours that Wednesday night, and went out for a couple hours that Friday night, and it was, I guess, just to get out. I really wasn't too, motivated to chase anything, I don't know, just kind of hard to explain. Just getting out to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Just get my mind off other stuff and just kind of just empty it.
Yeah.
I guess. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of getting out for the escape of everything. Right.
Yeah. I really enjoy just being outdoors for the most part. It's just, you find that peace there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just kind of, nice to just sit out there and just clear your mind, not think about much, and just listen to the world turn.
So as the season progressed, did you take, I don't want to say take hunting more seriously, but did you get more into like being active and pursuing something, or just did that, did that mindset kind of continue of like, yeah, let's just get out, let's enjoy it?
Yeah, well, that first Friday I got out, my friend Kent, he went to a different area, and then we basically just kind of decided, we're going to get out, do some glassing, see what we can find. He ended up glassing up a couple herds. That Saturday, we'd kind of worked out a plan to kind of separate and go after, each herd solo. So he kind of went to one area and I went to the other. I kind of had worked out a plan in my mind. I was going to wake up early, kind of head out, right at daybreak. I was going to get to the clear cut they're in, pretty early and, hopefully catch them in it. But it happens I overslept my alarm. It ended up being, 30, 40 minutes behind schedule, which I guess if you know me is not too uncommon. Yeah, my friend Kent's actually left me one time. I was at his house a certain time, and I was maybe 5 minutes late, and I get there, and he's already gone, so I had to go meet him where we're going. But I'm not too punctual, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get out there. I get to where I knew he had seen the elk the night before, kind of wandering around the clear cut. It's about 8 o'clock, I think, when I finally get there. So kind of seeing where they've been, seeing a few beds, and I just kind of decided what I'm going to do. I text Kent and see what he's up to. But I guess he ended up blowing up that herd that he went after, and it was going to be a really hot day that day. I think that Saturday it broke over 100 here where we live. So he was going to quit early and take the family to the river. So I'm like, well, shoot, kind of messed up my plans because I was going to have him come in from the other side because I had a pretty good idea where the elk were, basically just hunting in my backyard, Kind of deciding what I was going to do. Sat there on top of the ridge, thinking about working out the plan in my mind, how things are going to play out. Going to wait till about 10 o'clock or whatever, go to the top of the ridge where I think they're bedded and, do a little call and see if I can't get anything to answer. I'm just sitting there taking it all in. Decided to have some water and some trail mix while I kind of, waiting to kill time. I guess that's another thing, you learn over the years kind of, when to be patient, when to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'd wait till about, 10 o'clock when they'd be bedded pretty good because I figured they'd be out, all night long feeding and go in right at daylight and bed down. And I figured they'd probably get up, move around a little bit. So I wanted to wait till they bedded for good. But yeah, I'll just having some trail mix, sitting there waiting, looking on my phone at my map, kind of getting the exact topography to where I'm pretty sure they're bedded at, looking for benches. And, pretty soon I just hear a couple cow calls, it's a little before 9 o'clock. Well, that's weird. And, I figure it's just another hunter or something. So I get up and I look down the hill of the clear cut. That's kind of right above a skid road. And the skid road is 30 yards below me. Then I could see down about 200 yards to the timber line, where it comes up from the bottom, where I heard the cow calls. And I seen a couple deer run out, not really thinking much of it. And then I go and I sit back down. Then all of a sudden I hear like some heavy breathing, brush breaking. I'm like, well, that's weird. So I get up and I look, and like out of the bottom, here comes 2 cow elk, just trotting along, tongues just, hanging out, panting so hard. I was like, holy crap, So they come, all the way up the hill to me, pass down on the road 30 yards, and they kind of disappear behind some bushes. Well, the next thing I know, they're coming up the ridge towards me and cross in front of me at like 20 yards. And they just stand there broadside looking at me. So it was like, I was kind of stuck there. I had like a little Canon G7 camera with me, the only camera I packed with me that day for some reason. But it was in my pack, and I had my phone in my hand, so I'm like, well, I'm going to record some quick video of this. So I hit record, but I end up like double tapping because I must have been shaking a little bit. So I actually didn't record any footage at all. But then so they just kind of wander off and don't really care that I'm there. Then I get to looking down to where they came from, and all of a sudden I just see a rat just coming up out of the trees. I'm like, holy crap, Then I was watching him, he's like walking. I'm like, oh, there's no way this is happening. Like, he's literally walking, right where those cows are walking. It's just like, he's going to walk right to me. It's like, I'm going to kill this bull. I'm going to freaking kill this bull. I mean, you couldn't have dreamed this up in your wildest dreams that, something like that situation would happen.
At this point, you had literally taken no action, right? Like, you didn't call these elk in. I mean, you're sitting there eating your snack, having a drink, and this unfolded in your lap, essentially, right?
Yeah, I pretty much, I just kind of feel like I didn't even earn this elk, really, It's just, I don't know, it's just the way things were before the season, just me even trying to get motivated even to get out, and then just to have this thing, just unfold like this, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
And, it's just I'm not sure how long exactly it took him to walk up to where I eventually shot at him at, but I mean, it seemed like it was forever, but it's just the whole time in my mind, I'm like, this is going to happen, I'm going to kill this bull.
The wind was good and all that stuff. Like, were you processing all those conditions, or were you just so, caught by the moment you weren't even thinking through that stuff?
Oh, no, I knew I had a good wind because I was checking it before, when I got to the top of the ridge. I was checking it, and, it was always blowing up right into my face, so I wasn't really too worried about it exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, hunting where I hunt in the coast range is it's really hard to predict the wind sometimes because it fluctuates so much, it's not like, you hunt in the high country and, you get a certain time of day and, the thermals are going up or going down. It just it seems like it's always constantly changing here.
Yeah.
But it's when I first got there, I knew the wind was good. Then, the way those cows acted too, and, I wasn't too worried about it. Then I was kind of elevated up too on that ridge above the road. So I knew he was going to walk on that road, and I had ranged it before I even sat down. I knew it was 45 yards to the tree line. And then, the road was about another 15 yards closer. So when he's walking up, I'd got down on a knee to where I was down lower out of his view. Then because he disappeared behind some brush, and I'd have my opportunity to draw. I had this the spot all picked out in my mind, once I first seen him, is, kind of when I first sat there and, processed, what could happen, scenarios. Cause I knew they used this road to go in and out of that clear cut. I'd seen their tracks there. So when I sat down there, I kind of, thought, it'd be kind of cool, if they just walked out, on that road, and I'd be able to take an easy shot at them. But I never really thought it'd actually happen.
Yeah.
So, he's just stuck on that same path the cows were, he's just walking with his head down, not a care in the world, and he disappeared behind that brush, and I drew, and just going through my mind, draw, aim, got my spot all picked out where he's going to step and where it's going to shoot, and, just focusing, keep pulling, and then kind of the last thought in my mind is like, I'm going to kill this freaking bull.
That's awesome.
So I shot, and I hit him, and he stopped. Then he spun out, and when he spun, I could see that I had maybe 10 inches of arrow sticking out. And I hit him. It'd be like, it almost looked like I was a little far forward on his shoulder, but the way the road was and the way he was kind of walking up towards me, he was, sorry, my dog's barking.
Oh, it's all right. We've had dogs join the show before.
But, okay. Where was I?
Oh, you're talking about you had the penetration, maybe looked forward, but we're going to say the angle of the shot was good, or? Oh,
yeah. So the road was kind of, where it was coming up towards me at an angle. So he had, just a slight 1/4 but, with the way he was angled to me in that shot, I mean, it was right on the money. So I knew, when I seen him spin and how much penetration I had, I'm like, oh, man, he's smoked. He's not going to go very far at all. And he runs off and he kind of disappears around the front of the ridge, and I just hear some crashing, and all of a sudden it just goes dead quiet.
Awesome.
I was like, oh, no way. It's like, there's no way that just freaking happened. I just sat there for like a minute, just kind of letting it all process and whatnot. And it's kind of, oh man, there's no way this just happened. There's no way that just happened.
Yeah. It just felt kind of surreal.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, just the whole, I guess, journey to get to that point,
Right.
Then to have it just happen like that, it was kind of.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I ended up texting my buddy Kent, and he had just got home. I told him, like, dude, I just shot a bull. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, no, dude, I just shot a bull. So, he gets all pumped up. So he's got to tell his wife and kids that plans have changed.
Right.
So he ended up coming to meet me, and then he gets there, and I had backed out. I was just going to, I was positive, that bull was, dead, just, not very far. But, I always hear guys talking about, giving, the animals time or whatever, but I'm not the most patient person. So I figure, well, I'll back out and I'll wait for Ken to get here. So, I back out, end up meeting him on the road, and we go to where I shot him from, go down to where I shot him at, then we just start tracking him. Well, we get like, 60 yards, and like, I've seen no blood at this point, so I'm like, the thoughts start going through your mind, like, oh man, like, am I going to find this thing? I was pretty positive where he went. It's kind of a short window there, because I could see all the way to the bottom on part of the unit, the part of the clear cut. So I knew he didn't go that way. He just kind of disappeared around the edge, and then I knew where that last crash was, and everything went quiet. So we kind of working through, and then all the thoughts of maybe I'll never find this thing start going through my mind, because I'm not seeing any blood whatsoever. But, then we kind of come to a spot where the trail kind of forks, one goes lower, one goes higher. So I take the lower one, he takes the upper one, we're going a little ways, and he starts asking me if I'm sure of my shot. I'm like, yeah, I'm, pretty positive the shot, go a little farther, and pretty soon I hear him yell, "Dude, he's up here, he's dead." I was like,
oh man.
Oh man, this kind of, just the emotions went from there. Actually, I got all that stuff on video, and my wife and I have a vlog channel, so I kind of got all that footage on that, my reaction to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, just putting my hands on it for the first time, just like the sense of accomplishment, I guess, it just starts going through you. I just don't know what it is about bow hunting that does it to people,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't know what it is either. I've experienced it. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm with you.
I mean, that's my first elk I got with the bow. I've gotten a couple deer and a bear, and it just, every time it's just kind of a, I don't know, spiritual kind of intense thing that happens. I don't know. I guess it's just being that close to the animal. When you shoot it, I don't know, you feel more of a connection, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So how did it feel? I mean, in the moment, obviously you're overwhelmed. You can't believe it just happened. It's kind of a flood of thoughts and emotions and all that. But even in like the days and weeks after, I mean, you're talking about you just accomplished something you've been working a decade to do. How did that feel? Like, just to continue to process that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was kind of disappointed in a way a little bit,
Yeah.
Because, like, I was done elk hunting.
Right.
It was like, I kind of felt like I never really got started, because I was just getting out to get out. I really wasn't, elk hunting to where I felt like I was actually in the mindset to pursue elk. So I just kind of, I just felt like I was kind of sad to be done in a way. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? I mean, you want it so bad, and then you get it, and then there's some level of disappointment. Isn't that kind of shocking?
Yeah, I mean, it was, but I mean, I was completely happy that I was tagged out on it, and it just kind of able to give me an opportunity. I actually went over east for a few days. I packed into a wilderness, solo by myself, kind of get the hunting experience for the year. Yeah, I don't know, it's just way too short.
You mentioned the video stuff, the vlog and YouTube. Tell the listeners about that. What do you share through that? How can they find it?
So my wife and I have a YouTube channel, Mark and Chelsea's Adventures. We started it like December of last year, I want to say. It's kind of, I'm all new to this YouTube thing, but my wife's been watching it for, I don't know how long, but, she's watching, people that do vlogs, and she actually has a unboxing channel too. I don't know, broadening my horizon, learning about, guys like Hushin, seeing them do this stuff on like YouTube, it's like YouTube, it's just, I don't know, it's weird, really.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's one day I was just sitting there because I wanted to do something, with hunting, I wanted, to film hunts or whatever, kind of do that stuff after watching, anytime you see a Born and Raised DVD, you want to be like, oh man, I want to make sweet vids like that.
Yeah. And now they've made the YouTube jump.
Yeah, they've made the YouTube jump. It's kind of, but, I like videoing, and getting the experience, just being able to share, that stuff. Cause, when we go hunting, no one really knows what we do out there, it's hard to, talk about it, when you're not there. Well, you get a video camera and you can actually video it, and people kind of feel like they're there too.
Yeah, dude, that's like such a huge point. I mean, it's so simple, but that's so huge because, as hunters, as guys who are doing this podcast or listening to this podcast, we're in such a bubble that we're talking about things that, the vast majority of the public really has no idea of. And that's not to fault them, but it's interesting, just what you said, to be able to show and share what we do when we're out there, because most people have no clue. Even if we can try and tell them about it, they really don't get it. But I think video is another medium that shows the full picture a bit more. So I think that's cool because there's definitely opportunity to, share more about hunting in a positive light. And even the things like you talked about, it isn't all just about the kill. Like the fact that you got to watch that cow and calf in the wallow, like that could be the highlight of the season. And I think more non-hunters that can realize what hunters are really about, the better. So video's awesome for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of, when my wife and I started, making YouTube videos, kind of for thinking, we'd do like a daily vlog sort of thing, just kind of vlog our lives. But I don't know, the more you learn about YouTube, getting views, learning, what audience you want to have, just all that stuff that you don't even think about when you want to, start doing something like that, you just want to make videos and you don't really care who's watching them, but you start down that course, pretty soon you figure out, well, no one's really watching them because, you're not, I guess, feeling a want, what people want to see sort of thing. But so it kind of went from the daily vlog thing, kind of switching it up to where we got, more of an adventure channel. So we'll do a lot of hikes, around home, and just getting good footage of that.
Anybody out there listening to this who, maybe it's only they're getting ready to go on their first hunt, maybe they've been hunting for several years, but somebody who was in your position a few years ago and hasn't connected, hasn't found the success that they're after, whatever that is, what bit of advice or encouragement would you share with them?
Just stick with it. If you enjoy being outdoors and the outside, enjoy being outdoors and the outside. The success will come, with the more time you spend out. I mean, just even learning the animal, their habits, learning areas is a big thing, just getting out and exploring. It's kind of like the thing we have with our YouTube channel, is just wanting people to get outdoors and experience it out there. There's so much to see and experience. It's not filling tags, just getting out and experiencing life, just enjoying the outside.
That's great, man. That's good. And we're quote unquote guilty of this, right? Because on a podcast where we want people to be successful in terms of filling tags and we talk about tactics and we talk about strategies, I don't want the message to become it's all about filling tags. It's exactly what you said. Just even me personally coming off of an elk hunt this year where I didn't get to fill a tag. On one hand, there's some level of disappointment there, but on the other hand, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. And, just to remember, you're doing this, whatever the pursuit is, not just to fill a tag, but to enjoy every bit of the process. So as long as you are continuing to enjoy the process, that's successful. Like, that's a win.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing, because like you said, so many people get wrapped up into, it's only like successful hunt if you fill your tag. But even with your hunting with people, if they fill their tag, is just kind of, me growing up with my family, when my brother fills his tag, in a way that feels part like, I was involved in that too, like I was successful in that.
Before we wrap up, just want to make sure it's out there. If anybody wants to connect with you, whether that's, following you on Instagram or the YouTube stuff, how can they find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm Mark the Hunter 6, and then I got Facebook too. Search my name, Mark Gassner, and eventually you'll find me. Then my wife's and I YouTube channels, Mark and Chelsea Adventures. Yeah, I think that's about the best way to get a hold of me. Perfect. Through social media, and sure, check out the YouTube channel to see some of my hunts there. And I actually have another YouTube channel too, where I have just a few more hunts, more aimed towards people that are hunters, because the way my wife and I do the YouTube channel, I don't necessarily show the kill shots on any of my hunts. Well, that's kind of running jokes. I can't seem to ever get a kill shot filmed on film.
Yeah.
But we kind of keep things clean there, and just more of the experience there. But they can search. I have a channel, Coastal Divide Adventures, on YouTube too, and I think there's links to it in our my wife's and I channel too. But I have a couple bear hunts on there that I filmed together for. But yeah, check out those for sure, and follow me on Instagram.
Awesome. Mark, it's cool to hear the story, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to share it with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, contact us with your questions, comments, or feedback to podcast@exomountaingear.com. Go check out the free training plan at exomountaingear.com/train. And until next week, hope you have a good one.